On a narrow lane called Marrow Lane, up near some lovely green hills and beside a babbling, bubbling brook, one could hear Farmer Joe's old farmyard truck. Chug, chug, chugging and puff, puff, puffing along, taking his vegetables to market. Oh dear! Just as Farmer Joe turned the bend over the hill, it happened once again, just as it did last season and the season before that. Bump, bumpety bump, over the bump with a thuddedy thump. Farmer Joe could never work out why his deliveries were sometimes short. There was always one thing or another missing. Had he forgotten to count them properly? With a bump, a bumpety bump, over the bump with a thuddedy thump. Whoosh! A plump potato, too near the edge, was tossed through the air and over the picket fence. Oh my! It seems Farmer Joe will never know why his deliveries were sometimes short. And for all you curious little minds out there, this indeed is where begins our story. Up in the air and down with a bumpy thud, Potato rolled over and over. Oh my, what a dizzy spin! Thinking it would never end, he suddenly came to a stop against a strong pair of arms.
Oh my!
Exclaimed a wobbly potato.
What a dizzy spin!
Gathering himself, he rubbed his eyes, dusted himself down, and looked up to see where he was. A husky, gentle voice echoed in Potato's ears.
"You are so lucky. Had I not been stood here at this very spot, at this very minute, you, young man, would most certainly have ended up in babbling, bubbling brook's cold waters."
Eh? What? A beebly boobly brick in water?
Potato's head was still in a dizzy spin.
Oh, so sorry, sir,
said Potato as he gathered himself.
"No need to be sorry. Nothing broken, no bits amiss, just a bit shook up. Come, up you get,"
said the same husky voice as a strong pair of hands helped Potato to his feet. There before him stood the nicest broad smile he had ever seen and the strangest hairdo he could ever imagine. A weird, kindly, strong-looking vegetable stood smiling at him. Still in a bit of a shock, Potato smiled back coyly and said,
hello.
"They call me Brave Broccoli. And who may you be?"
asked the strange-looking vegetable.
I'm Potato. Thank you so kindly for saving me from babbling, bubbling brook's cold waters,
replied Potato as he extended his hand. Just for one crazy moment, Potato so much wanted to burst into hysterical giggles at the strange green hairdo, but he held back. Now, that would be impolite.
"Pleased to meet you, Potato. Oh, they'll be so excited to meet you. Come, come, follow me,"
an excited Brave Broccoli replied.
They?
asked Potato, a little confused at this strange vegetable's excitement.
You'll see, you'll see. It's been a very long time since we've had a visitor. Are you okay to walk, or, if you want, I can carry you on my shoulders?"
said Brave Broccoli.
Carry me? On his shoulders?
How strange, thought Potato.
I'm okay to walk, but thank you,
replied Potato.
"Come, follow me, follow me. No need to fear."
And off, down babbling, bubbling brook's banks went Broccoli. A little more confused but very curious, Potato had no choice but to follow. Past the banks of babbling, bubbling brook, beyond the brambles and tall ivy bush, under the stone footbridge they walked and walked as the sun began to settle. Where does he get all this energy from? Thought Potato as Brave Broccoli led the way, leaving him some distance behind. Under the sun's heat, Potato was beginning to feel half-baked. As the sun began to set, it cast a lovely warm glow upon the dusty narrow paths in between sways of tall swaying grass. After what seemed like ages and ages, Brave Broccoli came to an abrupt stop, turned around and smiled an even bigger smile than before. He waited for Potato to catch up.
Oh, they'll be so happy to meet you,
said brave Broccoli, who couldn't contain his excitement. It almost seemed as if he had ants in his pants as he raised his hand and gently parted a cluster of tall grass. A narrow opening appeared leading to what looked like yet another dusty downhill path. Brave Broccoli opened his hand in a grand gesture and pointed to a wooden plaque above the opening. Set up on the tall swaying stem of a stinging nettle, a wooden plaque inscribed with blueberry ink spelled out the word home.
Welcome to home. Come, follow me. Let's meet Woo, the wise one, the wise old onion,
said brave Broccoli as he walked through holding the grass blades back for Potato. This was also exciting and intriguing for Potato. It beat hands down sitting in a sack and a wooden crate for all day long in Farmer Joe's shed. There before him, a path led down the hill. Tucked along its borders were all sorts of discarded and overturned old flower pots, some tall, some short, some made of terracotta, some of clay, some of tin, and some really unusual ones.
The first pot, the one nearest the opening, was a magnificent-looking, large terracotta pot, its roof tainted with moss, its base encircled with brambles, and what seemed to be windows and a doorway cut into its side. Potato followed brave Broccoli as he led the way to this magnificent-looking pot.
Here lives the wise one, Woo, the wise old onion,
said brave Broccoli as he knocked on the door. Wise old onion stirred. He slid his spectacles back onto the bridge of his tiny nose and squinted a little, then blinked. He was cuddled up in a chair made of old mufflers and straw, half asleep, his supper weighing heavily on his big round belly. He knew from the familiar 3 knocks that it could only be brave Broccoli.
Come in,
He said in a voice that was stern yet soothing.
Woo, sorry to disturb you, but I have some exciting news. You won't believe who I found at the magic spot by Babbling Bubbling Brook,
said brave Broccoli, standing up with his hands on his hips and his chest puffed up. Wise old onion eased around in his muffler chair and peered from above his spectacles.
We have a visitor.
Said brave Broccoli proudly.
This is Potato.
He added, gently putting his hand on Potato's back.
Oh, pleased to make your acquaintance, sir,
said a shy Potato as he stepped forward. For a moment there was a short silence. There stood brave Broccoli with a huge smile on his face, and beside him a shy, unsure Potato.
don't be shy, young man. Come closer.
Said wise old onion.
Come into the candlelight.
Potato edged forward shyly to wise old onion until the candlelight lit his rosy tanned skin.
There's nothing to be afraid of. I'm Woo. Wise I may be, but old I certainly am. As old as the village we call home. And what a pleasure to meet someone new.
Woo leaned forward with a comforting smile on his big round face.
Pleased to meet you, sir. I'm so sorry to disturb you like this, but had it not been for kind, brave Broccoli, I surely would have ended up in babbling, bubbling Brook's cold waters.
But before he could say another word, Woo interrupted.
Young man, your manners are impeccable. What a polite one you are. No need to call me sir. Please, call me Woo.
Woo had such a kind old face that it made Potato feel so at home.
Tell me, Potato, did you too have a dizzy spin, a tumbling roll, followed by a thuddity thud, before you found yourself by babbling, bubbling brook?
Asked Woo.
For the next 10 minutes, Potato explained how 1 minute he was off to market, the next there was a bump, followed by the most terrifying spin, and another bump and thud. Woo nodded his head.
You are most definitely one of us. There must be some magical attraction to Babbling Bubbling Brook indeed.
Woo gently stroked at his silver moustache thoughtfully. Then he continued.
I remember a long, long time ago when I was younger. A dizzying spin, several bumps, several thumps and thuds. And after me there came Crazy Corn. After him came Bouncy Beetroot, followed by the Potty Peppers.
Woo closed his eyes and remembered how home became home. Brave Broccoli stood quietly, remembering along with Woo. Potato listened intently. The more he heard, the more he felt he belonged here, and he could have fallen asleep listening to Woo's calm, soothing voice. But that would have been impolite.
Potato, welcome to the village we call home. And because you are so well-mannered, I am going to name you Polite Potato.
Woo looked at Brave Broccoli and continued.
Brave Broccoli, the clay flower pot at the bottom of the hill, the one the Brazilian nut family stayed in on their last visit, next door to Awesome Aubergine's pot. Let that be Polite Potato's new home. Oh, and can you tell Loopy Lemon to give the place a quick tidy up and tell her I'd be most grateful.
Help! 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 Before Woo could finish his sentence, there was an almighty banging on the door and what seemed like screaming and yelling outside. Startled, Woo, Brave Broccoli, and Polite Potato fell silent and looked towards the door. The door burst open with an almighty crack. The most unusual and odd-looking yellow cobbled vegetable burst through the doorway, hopping from one foot to the other. Help! Help! It yelped in between gasping breaths. The yellow cobbled vegetable was in a right panicky state. Brave Broccoli took charge at once, grabbed the yellow cobbled vegetable by the shoulders, and in a commanding voice said,
Calm down, Crazy Corn. Calm down. Now, breathe. Slowly. That's it. Breathe in, hold, and now slowly breathe out. What in the world's the matter?
Not my fault! Not my fault! Honestly, not my fault! Crazy Corn really did look crazy. Woo rolled his eyes and sighed. Polite Potato stood there shocked as Brave Broccoli attempted to calm Crazy Corn.
Now tell me what on earth could have happened to get you all flustered like this?
Asked Brave Broccoli. Oh, my! It's one of the peas! It's Tiny Pea! It's not my fault! Really, it's not my fault! Crazy Corn hopped from one foot to the other. All of a sudden, he let off a few kernels to pop. How embarrassing!